Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Highland Park 12-year-old. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Highland Park 12-year-old Viking Honour. This particular whisky is a single malt Scotch whisky from the Highland Park distillery in Orkney, and the distillery itself dates back to 1798. This particular whisky is 40% ABV. It retails for £46 in the UK and is made up of predominantly ex-sherry casks, or ex-sherry seasoned casks I should say, from American and European oak. Should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whisky. So before I start nosing and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that is like an amber, but potentially this does have added colour. Let's start with the nose. Right, so the first thing I get with this is a coastal note. It's got some salinity. There's also some vanilla sweetness, like icing sugar. I'm also picking up like heather and lavender. There's also a hint of petrol or gasoline. There's also a hint of like new rubber tyres. And I'm also picking up a citrus note. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so on the palate, it does somewhat mirror the nose. So there is like sea salt, there is sweetness in the form of icing sugar, just like on the nose. There is a little bit of heat. I'm getting some chili pepper on the palate, and it is slightly oily in texture, which is not bad. But I'm sort of getting an oiliness from a 40% possibly chill filtered whisky. Let's have another sip. Yeah, I'm now getting like a heather honey note. I do get this on Highland Parks pretty much in all cases. There is a hint of citrus. There's also a hint of smoke. This is, as far as I'm aware, lightly peated. And yeah, it's good that that sort of smoke doesn't dominate. It really just sort of settles in the background for me. Let's have one final sip. Yeah, so I'm getting that petrol note that I picked up on the nose. There's a fruitiness in the form of red apples, but there's also an interesting note that I don't get very often on whiskey, and that's like black tea, like tea leaves. It's yeah, it's definitely unusual. I don't get it very often, and it's quite subtle, I'd say, for me, but it is there. And there's also a hint of chocolate as well, which is quite nice. In terms of finish, I'd say, well, it's like a medium length finish. There is a little bit of dry wood, like pencil shavings, and there is some vanilla sweetness with a quite noticeable sort of pepper note that does linger for a reasonable amount of time. In terms of value, well, this retails for £46 in the UK, and it's definitely increased in price. I would say before the UK had a cost of living crisis, it was starting to creep up, and I think maybe it was during COVID, the 10-year-old started to appear in supermarkets instead of the 12-year-old. and that pushed the 12-year-old up. So the 10-year-old in the supermarket was on offer for around the £25 mark, which is where this used to sit. You definitely struggle to find this for £25 these days. I did recently get this bottle within the last 6 months for I think about £28, which was a bargain, but it definitely sits around the sort of £35 mark now. I think in terms of value, that probably on paper sits quite well with other 12-year-olds. But I think Highland Park does lack a little bit. I think it's become one of these distilleries that churns out too many special editions. I think it should focus on the quality of the liquid that's going into its core range. And I think the likes of spirits from Campbelltown distilleries, which for my palate aren't a million miles away, I think they probably do it better for less. So although this isn't a regular in my sort of, well, yeah, it's not a regular in my back bar, I think it's something I like to revisit from time to time, but I suppose it's just become a bit average. They do a cask strength version, which is I think about £65. Maybe I should seek that out instead, because maybe that will be a little bit more interesting. Obviously it doesn't have an age statement, the cask strength, but yeah, I think their others are definitely getting more expensive, especially the 18, that's quite expensive now as well. If you've tried this and you like it, then let me know in the comments, and if you don't like it, share that too. I'm always interested to hear where people are in their whisky journey and how they get on with the whiskies that I review. If there's another 12-year-old whisky you think I should try instead, then also let me know. And you know, if there's a particular Highland Park that you think I should try instead, let me know. Also, I'm always interested to hear other people's recommendations. Hopefully you found this interesting, and I'll see you again soon. Sauncher.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.